right. All right. My next guest is someone I've known for we've known each other for many, many years now. Just haven't really hung out in a while. In the we've never really hung out in the real world, but I mean in this fake video world, we've hung out many, many times. We've done many things together. Robert Chazz Chute. What is it?
Armand Rosamilia.
Double Z if you're nasty.
Beast. My brother from another mother dragon. It's so good to see you again.
All right, so
I thought you read this whole podcasting thing, and I thought you stepped back.
This is not a podcast.
Oh,
This is a video interview for my YouTube to build my YouTube up and to hang out with people that I like.
Okay, cool. And me,
right. and Robert. And so this is not a podcast. You will not be able to hear this anywhere else. It'll just on my YouTube. So make sure everybody subscribes.
That's really a cool thing, because I got to tell you, I just started this video series thing I'm doing, and one of the things that takes so much darn time, insert a real expletive here, is I post on YouTube and then I put it on LinkedIn. I don't know why. I avoid X. I've got principles, so I don't use X. I got a problem with that. But Blue Sky, 2 Facebook places, Substack, Medium, and Insta and Threads, and TikTok. So if I get the thing done in one take, I still have half an hour to go before I'm done.
Right. See, now I put them on a bunch of those too, but that's after it goes live on YouTube. And then all I'm basically doing is I basically use Buffer to just one shot, just to dump it out to, Blue Sky and Facebook and wherever else, LinkedIn. So it's still all over the place, but it's just the video. There's no audio only version of this.
Okay. I should do something smart like that. Years ago, I used Buffer, and then I don't know why I got away from it. And
I still
love StreamYard too, by the way.
Huh?
This is the first I've heard of StreamYard. This is new?
No, this has been around for a while. I used to use Skype, and then Skype, I guess, went away.
Yeah, inexplicably, right at the beginning of the pandemic, when they should have been huge.
Yeah, and then they became something else, and it just didn't look right. And then when I started to do this, I was like, you know what? I want something that's easy. And I remembered hanging out with other people during the pandemic. We hung out on StreamYard. So I was like, you know what? It's good. The price is right. It's free for doing these short little interviews all the time, and I haven't had a, knock on wood, haven't had a problem with it yet. So
once again, I'm aware of yet another app, and I've been missing out on a party somewhere.
Pretty much.
So many apps, man. There's so many.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We're too old to learn all this shit over and over and all that.
And yet here we are.
This stuff, right? And that we're the old guys. We're trying to be hip with the kids, trying to get this stuff in. It's
hi, fellow kids.
Exactly.
Do you like stuff?
Yeah.
And things?
Do you have money to buy stuff that I made and you would make me happy? Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna listen. I'm a big fan. I've been a big fan of yours for a long time, and so my first question is going to be, when are we going to see Jesus again?
It is so funny. There's this guy who he was a huge fan of the first book, Bigger Than Jesus, and I think he read the second, Higher Than Jesus, and he said, I can't wait for more. Where's more? It's like, dude, there's been 2 other books for years. Where you been? Hollywood Jesus, Resurrection. I'm doing what I can. I thought you were a fan. What's the guy got to do? Have I got to knock on your door personally? So it's funny. I was talking to another author friend of mine and he has a podcast. still weird. And he was talking about how he'd read a bunch of my books, and I really appreciate that he owns a bunch of my books, but his favorite was the first one he read, which was Bigger Than Jesus. And he was on for people who don't know, it's looks like Bigger Than Jesus, but it's spelled it's Jesus Diaz is a hitman.
Right.
And he was on this cruise and he was reading Bigger Than Jesus, and this woman came up and said, "Bigger than Jesus? Nothing's bigger than Jesus." And without thinking, he said, "Well, the Beatles." So if you're old enough to understand that,
Right.
you love John Lennon.
Yeah, that's a John Lennon fact right there.
That's right. And I was at a book fair one time, and I got to say, it wasn't going well. Nobody was buying, and there were very few people. We did this book fair. The library had put it on, and they tucked us away. It was everything everywhere else was busy, but we were out of a traffic zone. We were like hidden away. And I remember the library sent this photographer around to take pictures of us in our booths and go, "Hey, how's it going?" And I said, "The traffic here is awful. They've hidden us, and I hate you all. Run away, run away." And she scurried away. So, but that same event, one guy did come up, and he saw the title Bigger Than Jesus. And he said, and I explained, it's pronounced Jesus. And he says, "Do your readers know that?" And I said, "Every goddamn one." And he scurried away too. I might have a marketing problem.
Yeah.
And I think it might be me.
Yeah, I'm guessing you're not selling many books in person at that point.
Threatening is not working, and I'm willing to try other things, but that's really my go-to is threats.
But yeah, Robert, whatever it takes. So you're kind of like me. You did a lot of horror stuff. You've done thriller stuff. So for you, for your writing, where's the sweet spot? Where do you really see yourself as an author? What genre is Robert Chazz Chute?
Well, I think I have a unique voice. So there's a guy who says, "I am my own genre," but nobody knows who he is. But I do want to steal that line because I feel like I have a particular take on things, and it's applicable no matter what I write. So I'm doing the Stephen King thing. I'm just calling myself a suspense writer, as opposed to going into a slot of horror or apocalyptic.
Right.
I made my name in apocalyptic stuff. My apocalyptic stuff is still what makes all the money. But I really love crime thrillers, and because I guess whether it's apocalyptic or whether it's crime thrillers, I'm touching on the same themes in different ways of lawlessness, chaos, anti-authoritarianism. Got a problem with authority, man. I mean, as a writer, I feel really blessed because I live a life of leisure, and I'm in constant fear, and that is our lot. So, by the way, I feel I suddenly became self-conscious. I looked at myself in the camera and saw, "Oh, douchebag." No, I'm wearing the glasses because my eyes are bothering me today. So I don't normally do this, but just so people go, "Douchebag." No, not usually. Anyway.
I figured when I first say I figured, oh, douchebag, but it had nothing to do with the glasses. So
thank you. Yes, that's very kind. Very kind. It's a good thing you're a big sexy teddy bear. Anyway. Yeah, I feel like the way things have gone for the market, the horror market, I have made my money there. But I also feel like, and I think you told me this, it's if you can get their attention, horror readers will read everything you've got.
Yeah.
But it's a much smaller community than the thriller genre attracts.
Right.
And so in order to sustain and do things I want to do. Like I want to make enough money to do more audiobooks and stuff like that. And that's very expensive. 5 years from now, it won't be expensive because AI will be doing it all and voice actors will be all be out of work, unfortunately. But right now, it's not that good.
Right.
And I would prefer voice actors. But that's a pretty expensive thing to do. And so to be sustainable, I've got the art side and I've got the business side. I'm really strong on the art side and I hate marketing. So I've got a problem.
Like every other creative person.
Exactly. Yeah. So I really need to, fortunately, I love writing thrillers. I love writing crime thrillers in particular. So I'm not selling my soul in order to write something I don't want to write. So I think the future is, for me anyway, is pretty much crime thrillers. Although it's funny though, now that you mention it, I'm working on something right now that is a crime thriller, but it's set in our very current time. So it does kind of have an undercurrent of apocalyptic tension. Because
Right.
I really think that, I wrote an anthology called All Empires Fall. And that's the one title that I keep on saying when these interviews is like, we look at what's happening with how the world is changing and has changed and will change with between political shifting, AI, the whole thing. Yeah, all empires fall, every single one.
Yeah.
And I think we're observing that through our fiction and reflecting that in our fiction, because you really can't escape the culture that you're dyed in. I look at I grew up on science fiction that was far flung in the future, but it still reflected on what was happening in the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what all fiction that I resonate with does that.
Yeah. And as a writer, I think, you're it's the write with what you know, but write what you know is also what you're soaking in, what's coming in around you, the news, conversations. You're pulling shit from the ether. I mean, it's all resonating in your head, and you're dumping this stuff out. And whether you say to yourself, "Well, I don't want to write about politics. I don't want to write about religion. I don't want to write about bad things, blah blah blah." That's still leaking in because that's still part of everything going around us. And I think it's, as writers, we're doing ourselves a disservice by kind of, taking those edges off of our stories. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
I love writing Kremthos, but I love writing Kremthos because it's people that are, beaten down, people that feel like they have no control of their lives and everything. And it's easy to put yourself in that character's head because that's what we're all feeling right now.
Oh, absolutely. We're dyed in chaos. And it's unfortunate that some people take write what you know much too literally. And I amend it to say, I write what I care about.
Mm-hmm.
And, at first it starts with characters. And my characters are underdogs. They're frustrated and they have flaws and they've got problems to overcome. And sometimes they have um, abilities that other people don't, but they also have a lot of deficits to overcome as well. So, for instance, in Endemic, I had a woman who is incredibly introverted and on the spectrum and just wants to be left alone to read books, but she's thrown into a New York City that is collapsing or collapsed, and she needs to form bonds, make allies, and she has to rise above what she was and overcome her cynicism. And uh, it's I find characters. Somebody, I was at a writing conference recently, and they said, "Oh, what do you write?" And I just was just about to publish "Vengeance Is Hers," and I said, well, "I read about vigilante justice right now, and they assumed I was writing about a male protagonist. I said,
Mhm.
no, I prefer female protagonists because I think that whatever challenges I can add in for the protagonist to overcome, then I think that makes for a much more interesting and story that has a lot more depth.
Right.
So, you like Jesus Diaz. There's a guy who isn't as smart as he thinks he is, and thinks that he thinks of his life as a movie. Um, with the latest one I did, Vengeance is Hers. Molly Juergens is learning how to become a vigilante,
Mhm.
and it starts with uh, poison pen letters, and then escalates to pranks, and then escalates to vandalism, and then eventually confrontations ending in death. And I love an origin story. Movies that have montages, Rocky and Karate Kid, all that stuff. I grew up on that, and I just soaked in that. And
Yeah.
I love origin stories. I don't need to see Batman's parents killed again, mind you, but other than that,
Yeah.
origin stories are fascinating.
Right. No, definitely. And I think for me as a writer, for years I was afraid to write crime thrillers and stuff like that because I didn't think I had the chops to do it. I didn't think I had um, the skills. And then I realized, it's about the characters.
Mhm.
The first thing you have to have that solid character. And I think that's why I love Jesus so much because it's such a solid character. There's a great writer that passed away, Dawn Lee McKenna, and I met her in person, and I said to her, "Your characters are so great in this Forgotten Coast series. I would read a 200-page book if you had your characters sitting on a shrimp boat in the bay and just talking for
Mhm.
200 pages. That would be fascinating to me because your characters are so great. It doesn't matter what the plot is, it doesn't matter what all that other stuff is. It's just that you want to know more about these characters. I mean, you've done it with your apocalyptic stuff. You're creating a great group of characters, and that's what drew me to you as a reader in the first place.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I a lot of the characters. Um, it's funny. Uh, I use Poeticule Bay, Maine, as this kind of touchstone in my work, and it seems like every time I write about a small town, uh, I'm really using the little town that I grew up in Nova Scotia as the basis for that because places have characters,
Yeah.
towns have characters. Towns have long memories. One thing I hated about growing up in a small town is they remember you when you grew up when you were in diapers, and they still think of you that when you're in your 30s. It's and scraps of dialogue that I remember. I worked for my dad in a department store. I remember this guy I didn't like uh, gave me some chore to do, and he said, "Hey, Rob, you're young and full of blue piss. Go do X and X, Y, and Z." And I thought, "Young and full of blue piss." Well, I hated when he said that to me, but I'm going to use that in Inventions is Hers for sure. There's a bunch. My dad was very colorful. He died last year. He was a storyteller and had a very um, rich use of dialogue, and a lot of that crept into the dialogue. So if something is going well for somebody, then that fella, he's got the world by the ass on a downhill drag. You know? Or if something smells bad, that would drive a dog off a gut wagon. So
Right.
I there's a lot to draw on, and I like fitting all that in. But yeah, it does start with character. I don't have a massive outline for my books. So much is determined by character, and because my characters are so flawed, inevitably conflicts arise.
Right.
So with Molly Juergens, for instance, in Vengeance is Hers, she's addicted to violence. She's addicted to uh, trying to get vigilante justice because she's frustrated and the system fails. And I think I see that with your characters too. You have people who are downtrodden and frustrated, which is something everybody can resonate with, is
Right.
being frustrated. So with bad things, I've got it right here. Ta-da! Bad people doing bad things. You got a guy who's on
You
the
probably need to
outside.
hold that up a little bit longer for people
Sure.
to see. Purchase that book, whatever that book is.
It's by Armand Rosamilia. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, you should buy it.
You got a guy who's on the outside. He actually kind of reminded me of Jesus in a different iteration in younger life. A guy who's on the outside who wants to be on the inside and be a made guy. Which, the thing about crime thrillers, I wonder if you resonate with this, Armand. When I started, I guess Bigger Than Jesus was my first crime thriller, and I had I knew an old college buddy who became an RCMP officer, and we were talking about the book, and he helped me out with some technical details with weapons and stuff, and I said, "Yeah, it's a crime thriller." He said, "Okay, well, what about the cop?" I said, "There's no cops." He said, "What do you mean? There's got to be a cop." Like, no, dude, you don't get it. In most cases, cops are people who show up after all the stuff I'm writing about. All the stuff I write about, that happens first, and then you guys show up later to try to solve things and clean up. And most crimes aren't all that interesting because most villains, most criminals are not Lex Luthor. They are still standing over the body with the bloody knife.
Yeah.
So, so when you talk mafia enforcers, the underworld, I find crime thrillers much more interesting generally, with the exception of one writer who we'll talk about with your final two questions.
Speaking of which, we're already getting to the end here.
Time is flown by.
You and I could probably talk for hours here.
Yes,
but so who are some of the thriller authors that inspired you to first really think, you know what, I want to write a crime thriller?
My first and go-to is I think of him as a suspense writer, but I always have to say William Goldman, because he wrote scripts that people know The Princess Bride, but what they don't know are his novels.
Mm-hmm.
And he had such a strange career because he got rich off the movies. His novels mostly went out of print, but maybe they're all out of print now, except for one or two. But I learned so much about plotting from him and surprising the reader. So just when you think you know where this is going, something else happens that's logical. It's not a Deus Ex Machina thing, but it's like, oh, I thought I knew where this was going.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that a lot in my writing, and I love it. There was a Lawrence Block, famous mystery thriller writer, talked about William Goldman's writing. He said that reading William Goldman is like watching a guy doing card tricks while I'm drunk.
That's a good quote.
It's just Marathon Man, Brothers. The Color of Light is, I think, the one of the best novels I've ever read, and that was William Goldman. And unfortunately, it's out of print, and most people don't know it. And there is no justice, man.
Yeah.
To Elmore Leonard for characters.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Need I say more? But the characters are so rich and real and quirky. The dialogue is sharp, but I just all of that is so readable. And the exception, I would say, as far as crime thrillers go, because he does procedurals, is Michael Connelly.
Mm-hmm.
And I respect Michael Connelly so much because he has obviously spent so much time with LAPD detectives you feel like you're in that world and he knows everything about that world.
Yeah.
And
All those writers are just phenomenal. So now, who are some of the authors now that maybe people don't know about, thriller authors that you like, you're reading, and you're like, more people need to know about these people?
I don't know how well. I wouldn't say unknown, as I tend to read pretty mainstream stuff generally. I mean, Emma Donoghue with Room comes to mind, as far as thrillers go. I already mentioned this guy.
Yeah, that guy's really good. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm enjoying that. Yeah,
you should read that guy.
I should read that guy. I would say, actually, pick these up. One that's well known, one that's not. Jeff Lindsay for the Dexter books. I really enjoyed Dexter. I think the TV show got it right for 4 seasons, and I've seen the other iterations. The newest one actually looks like it has a lot of promise. It's very interesting what they're doing with that. The TV stuff deviates from the books a bit, but it's still about a bad guy going after worse guys, which
Right.
sounds familiar to what you do. And it's all about watching him get away with it.
Right.
It's a catch me if you can. That's the only thing wrong with Leo DiCaprio's Catch Me If You Can with Tom Hanks is that they actually catch him. Because you just want to see him keep on conning people, getting away with it.
Yeah. You want to see how long we can go with this.
Yeah, paint him into a corner, get him out. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
This one is Peter Swanson, A Talent for Murder.
Okay.
And I have just started reading this, and this guy hooked me from the beginning, because no murder is by the book. A Talent for Murder by Peter Swanson. And I would say that this one I'm going to plow through really quick. So I would definitely recommend that one. He's Canadian, but I'll hold it against him.
those Canadians. I won't even bring up Rush. My feelings on those guys.
Just because they write songs that take 3 days to end, I think you're being kind of mean. The lyricism, man, the lyricism. They're writing science fiction songs. Who does that?
Whatever. Anyway,
I can't win you over on that.
Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. And we will definitely have to do this again. We will have to figure out something. And so if you've read my Dirty Deeds books, Jesus Diaz gets a mention in one of them. And I think in one of his books, James Gaffney gets a mention back and forth. We kind of traded a couple of lines there.
We did trade a couple of lines, and Chaz is also a character.
Oh yeah.
And he actually beat somebody up in the first chapter.
Yeah,
which I appreciate, because I like beating people up. What I will say before I go is my latest thriller, Vengeance Is Hers. Look at that cover.
Yeah,
that is
check that out. I actually have it on my TBR. I got to get to it.
Excellent choice.
All right, man. I will talk to you later.
Take care. Thanks for the time. I appreciate it. It's always good to see you, man.
Yep.